Segment is sponsored by CSL Seqirus.
Despite the many benefits, only about half of Americans get an annual flu vaccine. Here with more on how to protect yourself and your family from the flu is Dr. Greg Sylvester, Chief Health Officer at CSL Seqirus, a leading global influenza vaccine manufacturer. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, what are some concerns for this upcoming flu season and why?
Well, I think the big concern is that we haven't seen flu in the last 2 years here in the Northern Hemisphere. In the United States, we've had unprecedented low rates. So you're saying, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that that's not occurring in the Southern Hemisphere. Flu is back, and it's been early and it's been severe. And what we do know is that what happens in the Southern Hemisphere happens also in the Northern Hemisphere. No virus stops at the equator. So my concern is that if we're not all getting out there to be vaccinated, we could end up with a bad influenza season this upcoming year.
Oh, that's a very good point. Now, why is getting vaccinated against influenza more important than ever, like you said?
Well, I think it's important every year. But let's be clear, we're still trying to get out of this pandemic from COVID. And so our hospitals still are overrun with COVID patients. It's much less than it was a year or two ago, but they're still having a residual. We don't want to flood them with influenza cases. So the worst thing that you could do is to overburden our healthcare system and our hospitals. If you're an individual, the last thing you want to do is to get COVID and influenza at the same time. And that's why it's so important this year to be vaccinated.
Yes, good reminder. Okay, and what are the key lessons from recent flu seasons? What have we learned?
Well, we learned that those mitigation strategies were actually working. They work for flu, and they also helped us with COVID. So that's really important. But what we also have learned in the past is the very best way to prevent an influenza illness is to get vaccinated. And that's really important. And I'm here on behalf of CSL Seqirus to say, go out and get an annual vaccine now, next year, and the year after, and year after, year after.
Yes, well, and are some people more at risk for flu than others?
Yes, there are. And in fact, I put them into three big buckets. The very, very young, because their immune system is still immature. The very old, because their immune system has been working for their entire lives and it's a little bit weak. And then those of us in the middle that have chronic disease, we are at increased risk for complications to influenza. So that's why it's recommended that everyone 6 months and older be vaccinated.
Okay, and where can viewers go to learn more as we head into that flu season, Doctor?
Well, I'd recommend you go to flu.com. And then don't forget, you can always call up your primary care physician or any healthcare professional, and they'll give you the important information you're looking for.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Sylvester. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much.